McDavid. There is Draisaitl. Watched carefully by Lindell. Across to McDavid. Moves to the outside. Works his way. Nick Ry-doe! 1-0 Edmonton.
You'd like that. I was thinking of you. Yeah, we opened with hockey. It was the best thing I saw all weekend. And it was probably one of the best things I've seen this year. It was so cool seeing Edmonton and Connor McDavid score that goal. Amazing. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But hey, welcome to the Monday edition of the King's Court. Happy you could be here. Ryan in Sacktown. This is going to be a condensed episode of the King's Court. So if you want to get in, now is the time. 916-399. See, I'm telling you, I am getting incrementally closer to giving out my cell phone number. I'm like getting really close. 916-399-3748. You can also call the show through Restream. The link is in the chat. Now, if you call, get right to it because I've got limited time today. We are going to be back live tonight at 8 o'clock. Grant and I are going to be doing a open forum show. Is there anything to talk about in Sacramento right now? I mean, it's the off season. It's kind of a slow time. Was there something that everybody was waiting on pins and needles for? Just curious. I'll lay that out there and let it breathe for a second. Also, going to do a pre-draft profile on Jacoby Walter, a name that you're seeing a lot of in mock drafts tied to Sacramento. I've done my scout on him. I've talked to some college scouts, talked to one pro scout, and I'll give you my take on him because on the surface, a very appealing option, but I'm going to go the other way on that. And I'm not saying Jacoby wouldn't be a decent fit, but with the makeup of the Sacramento Kings roster right now, I'm a little bit worried about him falling into that category as a finisher and not really a creator. So we can get into that in a little bit. Get your check-ins in. John, what's up, my man? How is it going? Yeah, happy Monday to you. We're also going to get a couple Ry-does in before we get out. Our man Haunted Horse, who took up the first half hour on Friday. Yes, the NBA season open is the best. The NBA season open, yeah, right? That is not Haunted Horse's opening. If you get your hands on the local call, the final minute of the game last night, highly suggest it. Appreciate that, C-Dog. I do like that kind of stuff. I am a old school radio nerd. I love old school radio. I love radio calls. So I will definitely be talking about it. All right, let's get to it. If you listen to the King's Court Saturday morning, I gave you the details. Mike Brown, the Kings, reached an extension or have agreed upon an extension which will keep him in Sacramento through 26-27, 3 years, up to $30 million. Now, when we talked about Mike Brown getting extended, I told you based off of what I was hearing, it was going to happen sooner rather than later. I know there was some heartburn about the report that came out that said talks were tabled, but the fact that Kings were even at the table was a big sign because the negotiations had been going on informally and formally for a couple of weeks. But here's what happened. And I talked about it Saturday. The Kings came in at $7 million. So it wasn't a question of, Do they want Mike Brown back? It's at what number? Mike Brown came in at 10 million. Classic negotiating, y'all. I mean, classic. I talked about tabled, right? That could mean anything. Tabled for the night, tabled for that negotiating session, tabled for whatever reason. So here's the deal. His base salary, $8.5 million a year. Mike Brown is betting on himself by trying to make up that difference of 8.5 and 10 with incentives that could get up near $10 million. So I love it. Why not tie it to success? I mean, Mike Brown did bring you 46 and 48 wins in the last 2 seasons as head coach. Monty McNair had his extension already. And now a lot of people were talking about the pressure being on Mike Brown. I think the pressure is swung. This to me says, Monty McNair, it's time to get on your horse and make it. No, that was not a play on words, haunted horse. I would have said haunted horse, not just horse for the record. And maybe I would have used haunted horse if I knew what a haunted horse. Anyways, I digress. The pressure is now on Monty McNair because Mike Brown, think about a college system. And I know a pro system is much different than a college system, or yes, than a college system. But when these guys come in, you usually get 3, 4, 5 years. I guess that's before the transfer portal, because those recruits are not your players. Those were not the guys you wanted to bring in. And I'm not saying Mike Brown has any qualms about the players on the roster that have been on the roster the last couple of years. But there's no doubt Monty McNair has been reactive and not proactive, with the exception of the trade for Sabonis, which was a great move. It's worked out for both teams. Let's not get caught in the mud there. Now it is time to get some Mike Brown guys in here. And if you ask me, I think the end of the season last year, or this last year, is exactly the type of basketball Mike Brown would like to see this team play. Gritty, first team to 100. And I know that doesn't always work in the regular season, but guess what? It's a long regular season, and you see what's working in the playoffs right now. It's defense, it's toughness, it's physicality, it's attrition. Look at the teams that have stayed the healthiest, really, Dallas and Boston, with the exception of Porzingis, who's still up in the air. Word is it's looking better and better, but it's going to take some time for him to get back in the swing of things, because that is a tough stage to step onto when you haven't played for a little bit of time. So hopefully he's got his conditioning going. But getting back to the point with Mike Brown, what I'm saying is the end of the year basketball here in Sacramento, it translates, at least defensively, it translates. So what did the Kings do? Are they going to stick around with that 13th pick? Or are they going to go for a bigger swing? My guess is Monty McNair is going to get a heavy dose of Mike Brown's opinion on that one, because you have to. This is Mike Brown's team now for the next couple of years. It was his team for at least another year. But what's going to happen? And also, can we put to rest the what if the guys didn't like Mike Brown talk? Okay. Obviously, it was important enough to ownership, which is something that is kind of stepping out of the norm for Sacramento Kings ownership, whether it be the new administration or the previous administration, unless your name is Rick Adelman. So I respect Vivek, the front office, getting this deal done, getting it out of the way. The importance of getting this out of the way is you're coming right smack in the middle of draft season. The Kings are getting ready to host workouts for different guys that they might want to draft or possibly sign to their summer league rosters. So this was the time you needed to get it done. It shows you have a solid base, a solid foundation, and Coach Brown, he's going to be right smack in the middle of those workouts, or at least paying attention to them very closely. So credit to the Kings, credit to Vivek, all involved, credit to Mike Brown for betting on himself in a time when coaches are getting 12, 13, 14, 15 million guaranteed a year. hell of a job, coach. You've done a pretty damn good job the last 2 years. I am very happy again that we can set this behind us. Give me your thoughts on it. We're going to go through the chat here in a second. Again, I will put the link to the chat if you would like, or the link to call through Restream in the chat if you'd like to call. If you do want to call, get right to it, because we are doing a shorter version of the King's Court tonight or today. We will be back live with Grant 8 o'clock for open forum. So getting back to the chat. Yes, I know. Relieved, Karen says. Absolutely. Hope it's going well up there in Reading. Dennis hopping in the conversation. Now it's time to sign Monk. Indeed. What's up, my man Flores? Just one less distraction. Yeah. And it's a season. I mean, last year or this last season, more distractions than normal, I would say, or at least based off of normal from the Kings playoff year. But it's going to happen. Remember, growing pains. Growing pains are part of the process. Glad the extension got done. Now time to focus on fixing the roster. That was so important to do because this Kings roster has some major holes and really not a ton of resources to work with. Malik Monk signing #1, first and foremost. And if you get any beat that Malik is not going to be coming back, you better start pulling moves and you better have a contingency plan, which all good GMs, all ownership, they have those contingency plans. But again, Grant's reinforced this a lot, and he's been around the team a lot more than I have. He says Malik wants to be here. I do think Malik wants to be here. It's going to come down to situation and money and what gets thrown his way. If somebody comes in and blows him out of the water with an offer, I could see him going, and as he should. What do you think about the incident with Caitlin Clark? What incident? It was a foul. It was a hard foul. I get, like, if you want to talk about the girls targeting Caitlin, sure. I mean, it's no different than people going after #1 picks. You see them try to ISO them all the time in the NBA. Now, maybe this is a little bit different because you're seeing a younger changing of the guard in the WNBA. The other thing that you're seeing in the WNBA is an influx of interest. Who can you thank for that? The young players, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, the rest of them. They are giving the WNBA a shot in the arm that it's really needed for a long time. So I guess you could talk about her teammates maybe not coming in to, step in or protect her. Do you need to? I mean, I get that there's a lot of attention on her and there's a lot of very talented women in the WNBA. A ton of talented women that are like, oh, wait, why weren't you paying attention to us until now? So sure, it's going to happen. I just think it's part of being a rookie. Let me know if you disagree, all good. If you do agree, cool. But we can talk about that a little bit more. Cooking, I love it. Adam hopping in. What's up, my man? Hopefully no more tornado sirens. What do you think about Pat McAfee's comments on her? Didn't love the WB comment. Didn't hear him. You'd have to enlighten me on that. Teammates celebrating it rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah, her teammates, let me speak about them first. Early on in the WNBA season, when Caitlin Clark was struggling, I mean, the first 2 games, I believe she had like double-digit turnovers combined. Her teammates came to the podium and they said, we need to do a better job of getting her open. We need to do a better job of putting some more focus on us. And Caitlin, there's a part of this that maybe, just maybe, we're not talking about enough. And that style of play, maybe it rubs some of the women the wrong way that she's coming up and pulling from the logo, because that wasn't necessarily a WNBA thing. That's a Caitlin Clark thing. So I don't know. It is complicated. MC, what's up, man? Please hit the thumbs up button. We really appreciate it. You cleaned it up for him. Okay. Said you should have said, I'm not going to say that. Come on. Dennis say no enforcer. Speaking of enforcers, can I just say this for a second? I'm kind of turning into a hockey fan. I always paid attention a little bit during the playoffs. And maybe if the teams were teams that were, and I hate to say this, major markets or teams that I was a little bit familiar with, or if it was Vegas because of Grant's connection there, I would pay attention a little more. But with the lack of basketball this week, I have been watching a ton of hockey, and I'm starting to pick up on some of the little things that you got to be a hockey fan to understand the strategies. That game last night, incredible. And by the way, I'm not even talking about the players on the ice. I'm talking about the coaches. How the hell did the coaches walk on ice in the NHL? I mean, could you get any tougher or any cooler? First off, the refs in the NHL, how they stay out of the way, I have no idea. Then you have guys that literally throw their bodies in front of moving bullets that are solid and about this round coming right at them, and they don't care. They do it in the name of their team. And for the goalies, is there a position in sports where you need to have better reaction times and muscle twitch, fast twitch muscles than a goalie in hockey? I mean, that puck can deflect 2 or 3 times on the way to the net. So, anyways, and by the way, it's not just a hockey thing. Sea Dog, you can back me up here. The Oilers, for whatever reason, I love their fan base. And maybe it's because I'm from Sacramento, but it's just it looks like a bunch of blue collar workers, longtime fans. They're all geared out. They understand the game. And I'm sure a lot of fans in other hockey cities do the same. But there's something really charming that I am enjoying about Edmonton. So if I had to pick a team, my buddy Damon Bruce, who's been on the Kings court a couple times, he put something on Twitter last night saying the same, like, maybe I'm starting to hop on this Edmonton bandwagon. But one cool thing was Wayne Gretzky in the studio talking about Connor McDavid. I mean, I can see how talented this guy is, but anybody that watches hockey, you've got to see it tenfold because you understand the game so much better. And then, like, the little things, pulling the goalie out or the little penalties, I just like it. And how about one of the rules that the NHL has? Sea Dog, pick me up here in the chat. If you challenge something and you don't get the challenge right, I believe there's some type of penalty for that. And we're talking about ways that the NBA can improve their challenges and improve their situation. I really actually like that. So, anyways, getting back to the chat really quick. Yeah, you need that in team sports. Otherwise, that kind of action gets away. So, you do need an enforcer. If you had to point one out on the Kings roster right now, probably Trey Lyles. Probably Trey Lyles. He's the tough one. I mean, and they're all tough. I shouldn't say the tough one, but he's the one that will step up to somebody. We saw that with Giannis the season before. No, Violent Storms, very good. Yeah, C-Doc, Justin Jefferson. Talk about it. Could you imagine that hitting your account? 88 million, I think it was 88 upon signing. Talk about a front-loaded deal. Kind of a smart way to do it if you believe in the guy. And Justin Jefferson's been fairly flexible, able to stay on the field, and he's a star. He's incredible. So good for him. He deserved the money. They were kind of dragging their feet a little bit. Glad they got it done. C-Doc hawking back in. So, okay, you're a hockey guy. It was special to me. Do me a favor, C-Dog. What would you equate that play to in a basketball sense? Like, are we talking like the Anthony Edwards block where he just like jumped from the heavens? Or like, what are we talking about? Just how special was it? It is my pleasure, MC. Thank you and all of you for being here and joining us on this ride. Look, we've already got 125 that have checked in at some point here on the King's Court Live. It is so greatly appreciated. I would do this with nobody on here because I enjoy it so much. But the fact that all of you are showing up, showing out, you've got multiple choices at this time slot and you choose to be here, it means the world. And then seeing everybody like, hey, what's up, Adam? Hey, what's up, Horse? What up? You guys are all starting to connect, get to know each other. I love it, love it, love it. And an A cage over your face. I don't know what that means. Interesting. Pat called Caitlin Clark. Oh, okay. Well, there's a reason Pat runs his show the way he does. And we'll just leave it at that. Reminds me of the Kings. Atmosphere was electric indeed. Power play for the other team. Yes, that's what I was thinking of. It was the penalty thing where you lose a guy off the floor. Now, obviously, if you get a challenge wrong in the NBA, you can't go 4-on-5, but they could come up with something somewhat equivalent. Adam Solo is like the most disappointing enforcer. He's like this tough fake guy now, or fake tough guy, excuse me. I'm not on I'm not on the Solo train. The driving gloves are killing me, just killing me. Poster dunk in the playoffs. There you go. Love it, love it, love it. 17 watching, 9 thumbs up, almost 500. Yes, hit the thumbs up. So if you're chatting, so we don't get very much traffic on YouTube. That's where a lot of the chat goes down. X, we get a ton of traffic there as well. So thank you for a 50% average almost. I'll take that. I will definitely take that. Dennis, he is a wrestler. He is Roman Reigns is too much to explain. Too much to explain. Adam says it's the gloves. Yeah. Those gloves aren't doing it for me. Not at all. So, we're kind of in a little bit of a slow period, right? In between waiting, Stanley Cup finals, in between waiting, NBA finals. Let's go ahead. I want to talk really quick because, like I said, it is going to be a little bit shorter of a show today. So, I have been doing my homework as I do every draft season on the different guys that could end up here in Sacramento. That is Jacoby Walter. He is a 6'5" freshman out of Baylor. 6'5" freshman. He's got a 6'10", wingspan. I've watched probably about an hour and a half of tape on him, and it was cut up between offensive cuts, on ball, off ball, etc. He's a scorer. I mean, he's not a natural scorer where he creates for himself, but in that Baylor offense, he was so important to what they did. A lot of off-ball movement. Now, that is what makes me land in the middle with Jacoby. First off, the size, 6'5". Good for 2. The wingspan, 6'10", maybe could step out and guard a 3 once in a while, but that might be a stretch. But getting back to him at Baylor, only 1 year. You can go look him up on YouTube, whatever. You can see the highlights. He was a 2023 McDonald's All-American coming out of high school. And he averaged for Baylor, not a bad line for Baylor. Let me pull that up for you really quick so we can talk about that. 14.5 points, 4.4 rebounds, 1.4 assists, field goal percentage, 37.6%. Some of the scouts that I talked to thought that he could be a 40% guy from beyond the line in the NBA in the right situation. And when they said right situation, I had a feeling exactly where they were going. And that was the Keegan Murray situation, his rookie year in the NBA. So getting back to Jacoby, he moves incredibly without the ball. His shot, for the most part, is picture perfect in terms of his follow through, his setup. It is I was torn on whether his release is really quick or if it's about average. And I think it's somewhere in between. He can get it off quicker when he needs to, and he can get it off accurately. And he does have pretty good range from beyond the arc. Now, the problem with Jacoby is a lot of his baskets were assisted. Now, that's not necessarily a problem. It means he's moving off the ball, which the Kings need. But you've seen a two guard that moves well off the ball in Kevin Herter, and he's run into some issues in this offense with the DHO. Now, Jacoby, the consensus was he is not ready to step in, play big minutes. He may be a guy that could come off the bench and give you a couple threes. Who would I equate it to? Maybe I don't want to say Chris Duarte because they're completely different players, but they thought Jacoby could knock down the three at times, but he needs space, and playmaking is going to be where his game needs to grow. Now, only a year in college, and again, pretty darn good year. He played on some big stages. He played at Barclays, played at MSG, but not enough of a sample size. Usually, like when we talked about Zach Edey, you turn that corner around your junior year where you start taking over the game, defense start game planning around you. Jacoby, to me, if the Kings were in a different spot right now, if the Kings had guys or had more creators on this roster, then I would be more open to this pick. You look at some of the comps that have come up. If you look at NBA.com, one comp that's come up is he could possibly grow into a role like Devin Vassell. Now, defense is not his strong suit. You don't have to hide him on defense, but he is going to have to learn the defensive game, especially for a Mike Brown system. The good thing about him is he is no stranger to having to take hard shots or shots at the end of the shot clock. He can take them confidently, and I do like the wingspan, but I really worry about the success rate of this position and the Kings historically when they draft two guards. Do we need to go there? Jimmer Fredette. Do we need to go there? Ben McLemore. Do you really need to go two guard right now with the makeup of the roster? We've already talked about if Malik Monk comes back, possibly a logjam at that spot. Overall, I really like Jacoby. And if you watch him, it kind of with his shot at times, it reminded me a little bit of Hallie, but it's fundamentally sound. But I like his game. I do. He's a great 3-point shooter, but I just don't know if it's what the Kings need. I think the Kings need more of a creator if you're going to go to somebody at that spot, especially with the 13th pick. So, Monty and mine should shop the pick. Thoughts? You mean Monty? Walter McCain, Carter, the sleeper salon. Interesting. Think Williams is gone. Bust, Dennis says. And then he goes best player. Interesting. So I know I was a little bit all over the board with Jacoby, but the big liability again for me is the fact that he wasn't able to create his own shot a lot in college, because then when you take that step up to the NBA, creating your shot is that much harder. Getting separation to be open for your shot is that much harder in the NBA. And with the way teams are focusing in the way that Mike Brown wants to get the ball moving around in spraying, I just don't know if Jacoby would be the right guy for them, but he would not be a bad pick either. I do like the length at 6'10". So the other thing that somebody brought up was foot speed, and I immediately thought about Sasha. I didn't see a ton of issues with the foot speed, but again, creating the space, Jacoby is relying a lot on his teammates for that. I need a guy right now for this Sacramento roster that can create space on his own. Let me know if you agree, disagree. The number should be 7, be banned in sack. It's cursed. Bobby Hurley, Jimmer. Okay. Bobby, completely different set of circumstances. Jimmer was to me as much of a pick about marketing and getting eyes on Sacramento as it was for the basketball. It was just a time where there wasn't necessarily a guy that was going to change that team. I think it meant sense. Yeah, I think the Kings they're going to do anything right now. They're going to be shopping the pick. They're going to act like they're going to use the pick, as all teams do during the draft process. Now, when it comes to Baylor, here's what I worry about. Baylor's offense is a little more traditional. It's not as free flowing. It's not as up tempo as the Kings are. And you've seen some of the issues Davion Mitchell has had kind of getting used to that, or at least coming into his own the second half of this season and getting more in the flow with it and creating. So I don't know if that's necessarily a Baylor thing or if that is more of just a player thing. But I do wonder if he would not also, with the free flowing offense, necessarily fit in great with the Kings. But ton of upside. Again, I'm gonna say this again. A ton of upside with Jacoby Walter. So we'll see what the Kings do. We got plenty of time. They need to find the next Francisco Garcia. Interesting. I would think they would need a little more than Francisco Garcia, but I get where you're going with that. Frisco was he was a solid pro, man. He just came to work and did his job. There's a local product in Jalen Wells who could be in play for a second round pick. That is the pick that I'm really, and I talked about it last week, Sea Dog. I'm really honing in with what the Kings do at 45. That's not a bad place to be picking, especially in a draft like this where there is not a consensus number one. I know you've got a couple of names at the top that are the favorites to be drafted at first overall, but 45 is where this team needs to improve greatly. Because I think if you ask me today what the Kings are going to do, my gut tells me that pick is going to be part of either a Kyle Kuzma or a Brandon Ingram trade. I really don't want Ingram. We've talked about kind of the concerns with him. The contract is one, but only having him a year, him not being really physical. And why does New Orleans want to get rid of him? They are making it a priority to let it be known that they're going to offload him. Now, the opposite with Kyle Kuzma, there's been some interest there for a while from the Kings. So they could be paying a little bit of a higher price for Kyle Kuzma. But if I'm looking at those two players, let's say the Kings are locked in on those two, I'm willing to pay a little bit of a higher price for Kyle Kuzma, whether that means you have to throw in a Davion or, throw in some money, whether you throw in another pick in the future. That to me is worth it because you have Kuzma at a reasonable contract, regardless of what Monk does. And on top of that, you've got him for a couple of years. So we'll keep an eye on Jalen Wells, Sea Dog, and we will see. I'd rather have a Lawrence Funderburk. Lawrence Funderburk was awesome. I loved me some Lawrence Funderburk. Hey, thanks for being here on the King's Court. Ryan in Sacktown with you. I'm not sure if anybody took me up on what I told you last week. Let me know if you did. Did you get to Bennett's West Side Grill this weekend? Did you? They got some great brunch specials. And by the way, make sure you are going to bennettsrestaurants.com, and here's why. They are doing seasonal menus from time to time. On April, they had a Spanish Mexican month. Excellent stuff on that. Jerry and I were out there for lunch not too long ago, but also there's specials during the week dining. You can get a couple of entrees and a bottle of wine on Monday nights. Tonight's Monday night. Just make sure you get home before 8 p.m. with open forum with Grant and I. Get out to Bennett's first. Also, you can check out reservations, gift cards, and their other locations. I believe Andrew is the closest that we have to a Triple Crown winner here with Bennett's. He's been 2 of the 3 locations. Grant and I have been to all of them, obviously, multiple times because we love the food that much. But huge thanks to Brian and the team at Bennett's West Side Grill and Bennett's Restaurants.com. So we have covered a lot of ground already. Again, it's going to be a condensed episode today of the King's Court. Grant and I will be back at 8 o'clock, as I just told you. A lot going on. Let me know what you want to talk about if we have not touched on it yet. We've talked a little bit of hockey and the fact that the coaches can walk on ice with no problem. I was like looking, where's the carpet? There's got to be carpet. No. And then hockey players. Is there a more superstitious bunch? The Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers did not touch the championship trophies, the conference championship trophies. Obviously, it's some type of superstition within the hockey game. Probably if you touch those, then you're cursed not to get the cup. I don't know. But hockey's growing on me. I'm telling you. And you know what? Sacramento would be an amazing hockey city. I don't care what Nape says. Hockey would stick here. I think it would be much like Vegas. Also, baseball this weekend. The San Francisco Giants hosted the New York Yankees. What'd y'all think of that? Did you have a good time watching that if you're a Giants fan? I caught some of the game on Saturday night. I tuned in when it was 3-4, 4-3, and the Yankees just blew it wide open, just absolutely blew it open. But it's fun seeing those guys in San Francisco. Imagine what it's going to be like when they're in Sacramento. That will be interesting. Everybody's going back to Thunderbird. Yes, indeed. History. Yeah, we need to get, let's see. We need Grant, not Kuz or Ingram. Interesting. Well, try to get him to come back. It's not my job. You guys can convince him. DeMarcus finally got his chip, but in Hawaii. Yeah, well played, Excel. Excel, where have you been lately? Been taking care of your skincare, I'm guessing? Good to see you. Happy to have you back. MC hopping in. Was at the game. Tyus Edney got his first NBA dunk. Only took him a half hour to get out there. Interesting. Enlighten me. I don't remember that one. I was at the game where Bobby Hurley he didn't come back and play, but it was the first time I believe he had made a public appearance with the Kings back at Arco Arena after his accident. It was really cool getting to see that. Peter, what's up, man? How you doing? Would you consider adding Wiggins or Looney from the Warriors? Absolutely not on Wiggins. Too much off the court, too much inconsistency. And I don't hold that against Andrew Wiggins. We all go through stuff in life. Obviously, he is dealing with a personal issue. And in fact, I give the Golden State Warriors all the credit in the world for protecting that, respecting it, and not some teams would have probably started leaking stuff out when they got frustrated with the performance on the floor when he was there. Now, Looney is a different story. I would take Looney. You're not going to get Looney. That's the thing. The one that the Warriors are really, really high on, C-Dog knows this. I've been talking about it for a while. Jonathan Kuminga. The Warriors are very high on Jonathan Kuminga. In fact, they, in a way, took their eggs out of the Jordan Poole basket and put them right into the Kuminga basket. And I think that's the name that maybe Golden State will continue to build around because, hey, Steph's not going to be around forever. Klay Thompson, what's going to happen there? And again, we don't talk about this enough. Grant called me crazy the first time I said it. Excuse me. I need a quick sip of water. Getting a little parched here. Grant called me crazy when I said I think the Klay Thompson contract will be tied to Malik, in the sense that the number, they might play off of each other. Who's going to get their contract first is the big thing. Now, if Malik comes back to Sacramento, it's a little bit of a different story. I don't think Clay's going to get that. Well, maybe. He's not going to get that much per year, but he definitely could be an MLE guy. But with Klay Thompson, he's probably going to be stepping in to the same role that Malik is going to be stepping into, whether he's going short of a team saying, hey, Malik, here's the keys to the franchise. You're the guy. Could happen. Do I see it happening? No. The teams that are in play already have their franchise guys. Orlando, set. You've got San Antonio, set. In San Antonio, that is the scary one to me. San Antonio has 2 picks in the top 8. Payroll, they've got money to play with, and they've got Wemby. So I think that they could be a dark horse in this entire thing. The more that I've talked to people connected to Orlando, the less and less I've heard Malik's name. Now, that can be a good thing. That can also be a bad thing. They might be slow playing their hand, but it seems like Orlando is looking to maybe make a big jump this year in the offseason, or at least in free agency, because this is the last year that they're going to have money to play with. Next year, they got to start thinking about extending their young guys and getting them onto, or at least one of them onto, max deals. Real Madrid Champions League winners again, and now they add Mbappe. Okay, so I saw a question on X. I don't follow soccer closely. One of the only Champion League games that I can remember was when Man City beat Man U, and it was like a last second goal or whatever, and the studio people go crazy. So Mbappe going there, what is that, like LeBron moving? Fill me in. I am not too prideful to let you all know when I don't know that much about something. I don't know. You got to ask Slamson. Ed, what's up? HGTV was made for hockey. X is Elon's toy. X, Elon is, in my opinion, trying to make X a one-stop shop. So you've got your Twitter, you've got like your live videos, you've got your spaces. I think he's trying to have all of your internet needs right there. So you don't have to go to like Instagram, Facebook, etc. But it is his toy. I would say, because I was a Tesla stockholder. Well, I still am. But I think that SpaceX is Elon's big thing. I think X is kind of, on the side. I think he saw an opportunity there. But we can talk that another time. I don't like JJ NFL contract. It makes no sense when he doesn't touch the ball every snap. Flores, my man. Just having him on the field opens up other guys. So you got to think about that. That does a lot for your quarterback, does a lot. And for a quarterback to know exactly where they can go with the ball safely and know a guy can go up and make a play even on a bad ball, it's invaluable. I mean, Justin Jefferson, I think he's worth every penny. I disagree. The reason he doesn't touch the ball every play is, think about if you use JJ like the Niners use Debo. It'd be a nightmare. He'd get hurt all the time. And I think JJ's doing just fine. And that's with teams completely game planning for him. So I get it though. 88's a lot of money. Old Argo when Sharks faced the Blackhawks. Interesting. Must have happened. Yeah, that was a hell of a comeback. I know you're a Yankees guy. Dude, can we talk about, okay, here's my Ry-doe. Here's one of them. Giancarlo Stanton's batting stance. I mean, it's the most awkward thing I've ever seen. Like, this guy's got his butt like all the way stuck out, or almost looks like he's standing on one of those squatty potty things. But did you see the ball that he hit out? It was incredible. The power he generated, his fast twitch muscles. Oh my gosh, but his batting stance, I almost can't take him serious because of it. And I know he got a hanging breaking ball, but dude, that batting stance, it's a little bit different to me. Judge and Soto are on a different planet right now. Aaron Judge, man, he is such a cool customer. I love it. How does New York end up finding some of these guys that end up being just franchise Yankees, that end up being exactly what the Steinbrenner, old George, whether it was George Steinbrenner from Seinfeld or the real thing? I know the Seinfeld one loved his calzones, but he liked his Yankees a certain way, and Aaron Judge is certainly right cut from that same mold. Let's go sports. What's up, sports freak? I was operating the board for radio coverage of the Orioles game Saturday and Phillies game Sunday. Both had crazy first couple of innings, lots of highlights to cut. So you were operating the board. What do? Who do you work for? Do you work for one of those teams? You work for the mothership? Hook us up. See, this is what I love about the King's Court community. Karen knew that Adam had a dog named Samson, or a cat named Slamson, or Samson. Can I read Slamson? There you go. Holy crap. Love it. Get up. John, what's up, dude? John, condolences. And by the way, we should acknowledge this. Larry Allen, longtime Cowboy, Hall of Famer, Pro Bowler, like 10, 11 or 12 times. Believe he only missed the Pro Bowl one time. Passed away on Sunday. Dallas dropped the news today. Very young, 52 years old. 52 years old. Holy moly. So condolences to the Cowboys family, and then obviously to Larry Allen's family as well. I asked this, but who's in the better position to resign or to re-sign? Sorry, I can't. That was the legal in me. Resign. To sign free agents, is Clay more likely to sign back with the Warriors, or is Monk more likely to sign back with the Kings? I think it's about, well, I guess it is a little bit similar in that Clay's going to have to take a haircut. I would probably say Malik with Sacramento. Probably Malik with Sacramento. 'Cause with Clay, it's going to be hard. He's going to feel like, or at least his team's going to probably come in and say, look, our guy's been part of a dynasty. Our guy has meant so much to this franchise, regardless of whether or not he's coming off the bench or if he's starting. He at least deserves this much per year for his service to this team. He wants to be a career Warrior, I think that is where the snag may be, because in today's NBA, it doesn't really matter if you stay in one spot. It doesn't. I know that it matters for small market teams, but I don't think Golden State's going to look at him any differently if he finishes his career somewhere else. And in fact, it might be good for Clay to get a fresh start. I think it might revitalize him. He already knows what's coming down the pipeline in Golden State. He's played with many of those guys already for a really long time. I think it's time for a new start for him. So, Haunted Horse, Dr. Pepper. I'm not a fan. Just passed Pepsi to be the number 2 soft drink in the U.S. They better have. Do you know how much money they spend on college football ads? Holy bleep. But Dr. Pepper is the pretty much the only soda that I drink. I do like a good Dr. Pepper. And if for whatever reason you're expecting a King's Court during the week live show, and I don't show up and the show doesn't go off, It's probably because I left a Dr. Pepper in the freezer, and let's just say this. Just point towards my wife. It was probably her because I like my sodas really really cold. But sometimes I forget about them. They explode. Not always the best thing. Okay, MJF to WWE. MJF coming back pretty jacked. Adam, do you notice his little tribute or his little shot across the bow with his gear when he came back? Thought that was interesting. Stay a Tesla stockholder. Okay. I was strong armed out of Tesla, MC. I was completely strong armed out of it. I was outvoted. Trust me, I didn't want to get rid of any of it. But we're getting closer to retirement. I turned 40 this year. I turned 40 later this month. In fact, y'all, Grant's birthday is coming up later this month too. His is a couple days before mine. So we'll have to do something nice for Grant. What should we do for Grant? We got to do something for Napes and his birthday, make him feel special. Maybe throw him a digital like birthday party where we get some surprise guests. Y'all can come on, tell him happy birthday. That might be kind of cool, but how do we keep it a secret? That's how we'll know how much Grant watches the King's Court, is if he would find out about something like that. I do still have some Tesla stock, but MC, I was in before the split twice. I know it split a couple times, I should say. And yeah, my wife and our financial advisor outvoted me because that's what we do. Let's see if it works. It works indeed. Overpaid. What's up, Burn Dog? How you doing, my man? What's going on, buddy? That Burn Dog. You want to talk about a guy that has stories for days? That is Burn Dog. Let's see. Same with some NBA players shooting forms. Yeah, you guys are having internal conversations right now. Let's see. Riley, is Corn Dog in here? I don't see Corn Dog. That's not Corn Dog. That's Sea Dog. You got to get him right. You got to get him right. Oh, cool. He worked for KMBR part-time as a board op. Cool, cool, cool. Very cool. Excellent. How do you like it? How do you like working the board, Sports Freak? Board is a different monster. Dr. Pepper, 23 flavors of epicness. I don't disagree. It's got the right carbonation. It's perfect soda. But I will not, MC, let me know if you're in the same boat. I will not venture out to like the cherry vanilla, like the crazy flavors. You got to go straight up, just straight up Dr. Pepper. Yeah, well, we're going to reinvest by getting one. And I'm really glad we didn't get one when we were about to, because Tesla slashed their prices on the cars right after we decided not to get one. So actually, somebody we knew, get this, they got the Suede. They got the Suede Model S, which still fastest car on the market, street car on the market. But how would you feel about that? Taking that big of a haircut? I don't know. It killed the resale market on those. The base flavor is prunes. Get out of here. Sprite is not it's okay. If you like Sprite, then try ginger ale. Ginger ale is really good. The outgrowth is going to be incredible when all is understood. Yeah, MC, I'm with you, man. MC, I'm with you. I mean, Tesla treated us really, really well, but yeah, I don't know. Like when it's time to walk away from the table, when it's time to walk away from the table. If you're playing blackjack, if you're doing whatever, a slot machine. By the way, slot machines, biggest waste of money ever. Why let the computer decide your odds? I hate that. But then you could have that knucklehead sitting next to you. Here's a Ry-doe. When you sit down to play blackjack, you sit down to... There's one called Let 'Em Ride. I really like that one. Oh, got you. I got you. Things are moving fast in the chat. But Let 'em Ride, that's a fun one. But when you've got a good table going and some knucklehead comes and sits right next to you and starts just blowing smoke right in your face, starts doubling down on 17, doing stupid stuff, that chaps my ass. Like chaps my ass that people do that. I get it's your prerogative. You can gamble however you want to gamble. Go do it somewhere else. Don't do it next to me. Do not do it next to me. And, there's times I'm not a gambler anymore. I was never really a big gambler, but there's times people get lucky. I was playing No Limit Hold'em one time at the Limelight. The Limelight. Anybody go to the Limelight anymore? And it was a slow table. Anytime somebody raised, everybody would fold. And so finally, and by the way, my least favorite hand in poker is aces. I hate aces. When I see aces, I almost want to fold them. But getting back to the story, I did a slight raise. The guy came over the top of me out of position. So I went all in. He called and we flip him over. He has 7-2 offsuit.
How about no?
7-2 offsuit to aces. The flop comes out 2-2-7.
How about no?
2-2-7. And so I told the guy, I literally told him this, and I have not played poker at a casino since. I said, what was your thought process there? Will you walk me through your thought process? And he's shooing me off, and I'm like, dude, like I'll pay you $40. I want to know your thought process. There is something I am missing about this game called poker. If you just went over the top on me with a 7-freaking-2, and he wouldn't do it. And I'm still looking for the book that explains how that happened other than luck. Let me split your 20s. Oh, yeah, right. Gosh, you know what? Like, I get it. You want to play the way you want to play. It's fine. Just go do it like at a table. You know what? Like, especially like I hate the guy that's like, oh, you sat to the right of me and those would have been my cards. I don't like that guy. But like, doesn't that always happen though? It always happens where like if you're maybe playing bigger than the minimum, so like a $5 table, which you can't find anymore, they're extinct. Um, like if you're playing 25 a hand, or whatever, somebody sits down, let's say it's a minimum, like a $2.50 table. They're only betting $2.50, but then they get the cards that you need. I had somebody do that on Let 'em Ride. I'm sounding like a compulsive gambler here, which I am not. I just have good gambling stories. But the guy hit something that was 1,000 to 1 with $2.50 on the table. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Dennis said he got 7-3'd. Okay, 7-3'd. What are your guys' preferred poker hands? Preferred poker hands. Let me know. What are the odds of the full house of 2s and 7s? Right? I wish emojis went through all caps so I could see that. Terrible. So, hey, we are going to get ready to wrap the Kings. Oh, you know what? We will take one quick call. Oh, nope, we won't take that call. We got to run. So I told you it was going to be a short, condensed show. We've talked about the big things. We are going to be back at 8 o'clock tonight. Grant and I will be together. We will dive much deeper into the Mike Brown extension. We'll dive deeper into the draft. We'll talk some hockey. I'm sure we'll be talking some NFL football and whatever else all of you would like to talk about. It's an open forum show. Bring it. We can talk about sports. We can talk about things outside of sports. So I appreciate all of you being here. I'm sorry for the quick show today, but I at least wanted to come on and at least do something. We'll carry over some Ry-does to tomorrow as well. But it is time for me to get out. Make it a great day, everybody. And please come back at 7 o'clock. We are looking forward, or 8 o'clock, excuse me. We are looking forward to getting back up, Grant and I together. Should be a lot of fun. Tadora,
Holy moly, Jimbaboli.
go Kings! Light the damn beam now that Mike Brown has received. Look, even the dog's excited. Light the damn beam now that Mike Brown is extended. We will see you at 8 o'clock tonight. Grant and Rhino open forum. Make it a